of anyone who happens to be around and drag their lives into a dark, mediocre state of limitation, guilt, and anxiety. They didn't know. It's not their fault. There was no malice there. They were just infected by a linguistic fungus. You can choose to look through that window, or you can do little thought experiments. You can allow yourself, just for fun, you don't have to believe it for the rest of your life, but just for fun, just like an acting exercise or a little bit of make-believe, you can move your eyes from the window of doom into the window of paradise and just stay there for a second. Pretty quickly, a lot of sirens will start going off in your brain. All the various curses will start activating. And one of the first things that might come into your consciousness is, if I have hope, I'm going to be disappointed. Ooh, that's a powerful curse. And it's gotten a lot of people. It's gotten a lot of people good. If I allow myself to believe this now, I'll be hurt in the future. It's some variation of that. So that thing will start kicking in. But just for a second, as much as you're able with your will or however you transform your thought patterns, allow yourself to sit still and imagine that you are limitless, that you can do anything that you want, that you deserve love, and that you are a slumbering volcano of bliss. You know how there's dormant volcanoes? Well, you're a dormant love volcano, and you can, at any second, erupt in geyser pure, unfiltered love into your community, into your family, in the form of selfless action. It can happen. I believe it can happen. Allow yourself the fantasy that it can happen just for a few minutes each day, and then get back to your Forensic Files marathon. Study the results. Do these exercises, and then keep a little journal and write down any change that happens in your life. Write down anything that happens that's different from the usual stuff that goes on. If nothing changes, then you don't have to do the experiment anymore. But if you find that by allowing yourself a few minutes each day to indulge in the fantasy that you're a limitless being that deserves love and is composed of love, who has the potential to radically transform not just your own physical body and psyche, but the lives of the people closest to you, and this creates some kind of change for the better in your life, well, then congratulations. You've figured out a tool that you could use to improve the little flicker of existence that you're currently enjoying in this dimension that we call planet Earth. Hare Krishna! We've got a great guest for you today. We're going to dive right into that, but first, some quick business. People, not a lot of people, but sometimes our parents have done that to us. Sometimes our friends will do that to us. They don't mean to do it. They're not malicious. They're not trying to hurt us. They've just been infected by a linguistic fungus that's been trapped.
Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, everybody. This is, of course, Duncan Trussell. For the people of you that don't know who, excuse me, Duncan Trussell is. Duncan Trussell is many things, but one of them is he is a podcaster or some sort of that. He is a guy who studies Buddhism. He's a stand-up comedian, and he is the creator of the great animation show, or one of the creators, and voice talent, if you can call it like that, Midnight Gospel, which I recommend to anyone. It's maybe the best animation series ever done. In my opinion, it's extremely heart-touching because there is a conversation with his mother, who unfortunately died of cancer around 12 years ago. And this is a real conversation, and they took this as a basis for the final episode of his animation show, The Midnight Gospel. And I can't remember any other media which inherits so much truth and beauty as this last episode of Midnight Gospel. Also, everything leads towards that episode. If you're watching the show, and then in the maybe third episode you're asking yourself, why? is Gravedigger, the subject of this episode, and then in the end of the whole show you understand, okay, it was all leading up to that final moment with his mother, a conversation with his mother. It's truly mind-blowing. If you don't know Duncan Trussell, look into him. He's amazing.
Traveling through generations of human beings, and who knows where it started. The main thing is this. The takeaway is this, my friends. I invite you to do a magical analysis, a biological survey of the subjective life forms that you call recurring thought patterns to figure out what beings that are currently existing in the ecosystem of your brain cave are moving you in the direction of heightened states of bliss and happiness and joy and connectivity, and which of these beings are dragging you down into the tar pits of limitation, sadness, misery, depression, guilt, and pointlessness. Just analyze it, and then I don't know what you're supposed to do, but it's a real fun thought experiment to allow yourself the beautiful fantasy that every single limiting thought pattern that you currently have is not an accurate representation of who you are, but is in fact the echo of a curse that's been placed upon you by some dark magician. I don't mean Gargamel, but I'm saying a person who has fallen into the numb ambient haze of modern life and is not paying attention to what they're saying to the people around them. And that could have been your mom, it could have been your dad, it could be your brother, it could be your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and wife. They didn't mean to hurt you. They just became the accidental transmitter of a dark paradigm that has been afflicting humans since we were being dragged out of our huts by Vikings and decapitated and raped by Genghis Khan. It's a dark time back there, man. We come from a pretty vicious world. We've had some dark periods here. So during those dark periods, people start saying shitty things to each other, and that echo can go on and on and on and on. To quote my dear friend Joe Rogan, the echo of savages. I love that phrase. Anyway, don't let yourself be cursed, guys. And for God's sakes, don't curse. Allow yourself, and you know, you can go right back if you want to into believing that you're a limited, awful, horrendous, angry, bloodthirsty, selfish piece of shit, if that's where you want to live, if that's where you want to hang out, if that's the universe you want to be in and that's the window you want to look through. I get it, man. I've looked through that window for a very long time, and I understand why it could be fun, but just for fun, pull yourself away from that window and allow yourself to look through the insane window of the alchemist. Allow yourself to look through the window of the practicing magician, the yogi, or the bogey, or the saint, or the mystic, just for a second. You don't have to keep looking out that window if you don't want to. You're welcome to go back and look through the window of doom whenever you want to. You can get right back to Forensic Files. You can get right back to watching Nancy Grace stammer about semen samples. You can do it, but for 1 second, allow yourself to imagine that you are a limitless, super powerful, creative force that, with focus and discipline, can, starting right now, create a temporal wave of positivity that will not only roll through your physical form and manifest as health and getting into shape and having more energy and just feeling good, but will actually roll out of the cave of your mouth in the form of angelic words that spontaneously erupt at odd moments in the day. And those have been called prayer, where all of a sudden you find yourself just saying thank you to nothing in particular or to everything. Imagine, just for a second, that that's what you really are. That you can be a kind of fountain of bliss that goes erupting into this dimension, a volcano of joy that explodes into your particular community. And it can happen in an unexpected way. Just like out of the blue, volcanoes will suddenly explode. In the same way, out of the blue, you can start exploding love into your family and friends and work and business, and not in a bullshit way, not in the phony bullshit way where people explode love when really all they're trying to do is make you feel like a goddamn asshole because they're better than you, but in the actual way, where suddenly you don't even know what you're saying, but you're saying just the right thing at just the right time to the person who needs to hear it, and you don't even know why. And you don't even have to worry about why, but it can happen. These volcanoes have been exploding throughout history. They exploded in the form of Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad, Albert Einstein, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Amma, Neem Karoli Baba, Ram Dass, and it can happen to you. You are the very crest of the wave of existence. As far as we know, you are the most advanced being living in the galaxy that you've incarnated into. And relative to the great universe that you're existing in, you are one. There are not a lot of humans. Sure, it seems like a lot because the planet ain't that big. But compared to the number of stars, compared to the number of galaxies, there's not a lot of us here. You're special. You're unique. You have such incredible power. You're running the exact same biocomputer that gave birth to such things as the theory of relativity, electricity, quantum physics, all philosophical systems, yoga, and anything that any human ever did. You're running that exact same computer. That's you. That's you. That's the kind of power that you have. You can literally do anything. You can be the being that intuits or channels an entirely new system of thought that can transform a huge part of the biomass that you're currently a member of. It happens all the time. Happened with Buddhism. It happened with Islam. It happened with Christianity. It could happen with you. I'm not saying you're Jesus. I'm not saying you're Muhammad. And God, who would want to be any of those things anyway? I mean, I guess if you really like people, I don't know. But you can actually... See, I'm doing the opposite of a curse on you right now. You can actually, at this very moment, create the first movement. You know, like an avalanche can start with a pebble. Just a pebble moved out of place can hit another pebble, which hits another pebble and creates a chain reaction that creates an avalanche. You can, at this very moment, if you wanted to, move that one little pebble, that one little piece of limitation, whatever it may be. You can just push it a little bit and you could create an avalanche of limitlessness in your life. Whatever that fucking means. You could do it. You could do it. You're a limitless being that deserves love, and you exist in paradise. There, I said it. You deserve love, you exist in paradise, and you have the potential to do anything you want, regardless of what your current situation may seem. And I don't mean this in a kind of like televangelist bullshit way. I'm telling you, read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Study. You got to work hard. I'm not saying if you just lay back and suddenly decide that everything's perfect, everything's going to become perfect. No! The blessing I'm placing on you is a blessing of action. And it's got to fucking start with the realization that you're limitless. It starts with joy. It can. It starts with allowing yourself to go crazy. You let yourself go crazy. That's the point. You let yourself become Don Quixote. You let yourself believe that you're a hero, even if your current patterns of activity happen to be completely meaningless. You allow yourself the delusion that you are made of love. You allow yourself to pretend that and see what happens. Just see what happens. Like a scientist. Study it. What happens if you allow yourself to be hypnotized by this hippie spirituality rant that I'm spewing into your ears right now? Allow yourself to be temporarily lulled into a state of believing that you are incredibly powerful and that you matter and that you can do whatever you want, and anything that you think is limiting you is an illusion. Then pretty wild shit will start happening in your life. Try it. Just do the experiment. If it doesn't work, go back to forensic files. If it doesn't work, find where it does work. Find your footing. Find your place where the thing works out. But just for a little while, go down into the subjective chasm of your consciousness and drive out all the bats that exist there as any limiting thought pattern that keeps repeating in your mind. See if you can do it. Replace them just temporarily and see what happens. It's pretty fucking cool. It's pretty cool. It could possibly result in you changing the way you act. It could possibly result in you beginning to act in ways that amplify and accelerate your physical well-being, your health. It could get you to the gym. It could get you jogging. It could get you to take some class that you've been putting off taking. It could get you to read more. It could get you to start moving in the direction of amplifying your feelings of bliss. And if you want to feel good, one of the best ways to do it is start taking care of your body. But there's lots of other ways too. And not all of them involve plunging a needle in your fucking arm or pouring booze down your throat. Though those things will allow you a temporary state of bliss, it's true, they definitely have a high price. There's other ways, my friends, other ways. What did I just say? It's fun. I love you. You deserve love. Fuck it, I said it. God damn it, I fucking said it. Beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. We have a beautiful guest today. We're going to dive right into this podcast. But first, some quick business.